Hello guys and gals of YouTube. This is Leo with the Last Tribe channel. I am gonna talk briefly about something I thought should be mentioned in today's episode. My topic of today is the very strange case of Danny Filippidis, a Canadian-born national from Toronto who is a captain of a firefighting squadron. Um, he went missing on a skiing trip when he was in Lake Placid, New York on February the 7th. And he was with a friend. A couple things to know about Danny Filippidis. He's a 49-year-old white male. He's never had any drug affiliation, nor has he ever had any mental incapacities. And I would assume that he wouldn't have um, anything to do with any of these types of scenarios because he is indeed a firefighter. So I would assume that they would have to pass a volley of tests to just make it to being a firefighter. Not only is he a firefighter, but he is a captain. Um, Basically, a little bit about me before I get more into the story. I am a skeptic of very strange things that happen. I will be the first one to tell you that it is not an alien or it's not a ghost or it's not something paranormal. I am not for those types of dealings with the strange and unnatural. I always try to look for an explanation for everything and anything that happens. Alright, so moving on. So we start this case with Danny Filippidis skiing on February the 7th up in Lake Placid, New York. It's very cold around this time of year, and it's very cold in most parts of the states already. Just the other day, I was hearing news about most highways being shut down going out from New York because of the cold weather and snow. So basically, where the story begins, Danny Filippidis pretty much just vanished without a trace on February the 7th. And 7 days later, he appeared in Sacramento, California. 7 days later. So we have to assume that one or two things happened. He was picked up by a stranger and taken to California. He was picked up by a trucker, someone in the car, someone that knew him, a stranger, anything like that, but no one's come forward ever since the case went public. I mean, he was found on the 14th. That was Valentine's Day. So this is just a very peculiar case. It's a good thing that he is found safe. I often think that what other people are saying, it being a UFO abducted him, is kind of far-fetched because why would it take him from one place to another? But then again, this does remind me of one case that happened back in the 70s. Travis Walton, he was abducted from Snowflake, Arizona. He was working with the wood chopping crew when all of a sudden he went missing after he went to go investigate a fireball in the sky. At first they thought the forest was on fire, and I just thought the whole thing was really strange. But if you ever watch Fire in the Sky, it will definitely give you an insight on strange things that happen around that whole entire story. So something to think about if the same thing happened to Danny Filippidis, except for in this case, Travis Walton remembered somewhat of what happened with the UFO in that scenario. And in this scenario, basically, Danny Filippidis went missing, and he reappeared in Sacramento, California. It is very strange. I think so myself. Um, if you do the math, it would take at least 30 to 40 days just to get from New York to California. And that's covering a lot of ground, so that's just physically impossible. Someone had to have picked him up and taken him from New York to Sacramento, California. Now, has anyone come forward? As far as I've looked up in the news segments, no one has come forward saying that they picked up Danny Filippidis. Apparently, he suffered a blow to the head, and when he came to, he was in Sacramento. So that's very, very strange. Some people have said that it's a form of amnesia. I've heard others say that it could be one of those deals where people think that there's someone else and they just don't know it. And I often like to think that maybe that was the case with him. You know, maybe he has some kind of traumatic brain injury and it just threw him off his whole, um, him thinking clearly. Some other people have said that it was a vortex, that he went through some kind of portal and he ended up in California. I think that's far-fetched too. But I'm going to keep you guys updated on this case because this one just really boggles my mind because he doesn't remember anything. When he got to Sacramento, he called his wife, was the very first thing he did. And he was still wearing the same clothes that he had on when he was skiing. So if he was going to be driving around with a truck driver, I mean, that's just really weird, right? Same thing with a car. If someone picked him up, unless he managed to stow away on a truck. The whole thing just, it is really crazy. Is it an elaborate hoax? I would say maybe, but I just want everyone to have an open mind and yeah, tell me what you think might have happened to him down in the comments below. I, for one, think that maybe he stowed away a truck. That's my theory. And the truck driver just didn't know it. Another theory that I have is that he didn't actually stow away. That I think what have happened is that he had a mild form of amnesia and maybe he thought in some way he was supposed to go to California and he took a plane there. But then again, that doesn't really explain the 7 days he was missing for. There was thousands of volunteers that were looking for this guy. So obviously he was an important person in his community. And of course, if anybody goes missing, the police and the state rangers react fairly quickly. And in this case, they did. They did react very quickly. And, it's good that he was found. He's one of the lucky ones that was found. Not everyone that goes missing is often found in a great condition or found alive. If you look at stories like the Skinwalker Ranch, some old Native American tales of spirits and demons, a lot of people like to talk about why people go missing is because of creatures in the night. Do I believe in this? No. I always think that there's an explanation for everything. Like I've said in the channel, there's a lot of wildlife out there. There's definitely a lot of creatures that I do believe we haven't even encountered on land. I mean, we hardly know much about the ocean itself, so what's to say we don't know much about the land? There's about 380 million acres in the United States alone that's not really been inhabited. When you really think about it, a lot of people stay around the city centers, big population areas. So going into the wild, there's a lot of land out there. And for him to go missing like that, I would say he's very, very lucky to have made it. So if any of you guys have any theories on what exactly happened, like I said before, leave a comment down below. Alright, thank you, and I will catch you guys on